Hey, so it's Monday, January 19th, 2026. At any point in time, depending on how hard we want to push this thing, we can do 60, 70, 80K literally off of 2K subscribers on YouTube. That's not a joke. I'm going to try and edit the screenshot here. If not, I'll put it on the thumbnail. Cool. That being said, and this is just from one company, by the way. This is just the consulting company. That being said, and everybody who I've observed who's been monumentally successful and who generates a lot of their money through some internet or digital based business, they are heavy on three main things. And we're going to focus on the third one. The first thing is offer. Second is the funnel, and in that, how they acquire clients. And then third is brand. And you can't shake off the brand piece, because the brand piece is the one that gives you the most leverage in the future and allows all those other things to work in unison and allows you to continue to be more and more profitable with less cost. So this is specifically for anybody who is at the 30, 50K a month mark, who really wants to gas this and push it to 80K a month, which now you're at $1 million a year. Congratulations, or even 100K a month. You can do this systematically. I'm going to make another video on how we scaled 3 different companies to $1 million a year in the last year, 2025. That being said, this is systematic. And you don't have to be famous to make money, but there are things that you do have to do. And I'm trying to practice what I preach here. But anyway, I'm going to break this down in the most honest and transparent way possible. As always, if you're new to the channel, I'm just prefacing that with this. That being said, if you are not at the level of revenue that you want to make. So let's just say you're not at 80K a month, 100K a month, 50K a month, whatever that might be, and you want to get there. This means that you will have to become someone radically different. If you've been on the channel, you've heard me say this. But one of the most immediate things that happens is when you set this intention of making a certain amount of money, what's immediately going to happen is your brain is going to start, whether you notice it or not, trying to calculate the best and most efficient way to get there. And one of the questions that you'll have to ask, or one of the things that you'll observe your mind doing, is starting to decipher what it is and is not willing to do based on what your identity is set as, the identity you've decided to take on, right? So all of this is up to you, right? Like, you can make however much money you want, and you can make it however fast you want. It's all about what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. And so the very first thing is you're going to be challenged. With the bigger the goal, the more your fears are going to be doing the talking. This is important because before we get to like the offer and the brand and all that other stuff and the tactics and the YouTube titles and what we should do and the funnels, we need to talk about this piece. And this is what I do now in one-on-one programs. Is it always comes back down to the mental side of you, of the founder. You're at 30K a month, great. Like, you have a 30K a month identity. You're at 50K a month, great. You have a 50K a month identity. To get there, you had to let go of things that you were doing, or the ways you thought business should work, or the way you thought life should work, or the way you thought you would get the money when you were at 10K a month, for example. That looks radically different right now, and it looks radically different as you continue to scale up. And so typically this always comes back to what you are willing to do and what you're not willing to do. And so one of the most common objections I get when a founder comes to me, especially one-on-one, they pay me my fee and they go, you know what, I want to scale to $1 million a year. I want to scale to 100K a month. Same thing. And it really comes back to those three things: offer, brand, funnel. Offer, funnel, brand. And the offer is fine. That we can calculate. We can easily put together a 20K, 30K offer even, no problem. Especially if there's some expertise and social proof there, no problem whatsoever. So that's offer. And then funnel, no problem. Just clone my funnels. I'll show you how to run ads. I'll show you how to do cold email. Easy peasy. Brand is where we run into some trouble, because brand is what actually makes you the most money. But brand requires you to become the person long before you are generating the income, right? So me generating this amount of money required me to be that to decide to be this person every single day and show up as that person before I started making the money. And so one of the biggest objections I get is, I'm not willing to do this, or this doesn't make me uncomfortable. This makes me uncomfortable, or I'm not willing to do this. And that's the exact thing that you need to do. So finding the thing that you're not willing to do, and you'll find it because you'll say it out of your mouth. You'll catch yourself saying it. I'm just not willing to do this, or I don't want to have to do this, or I don't want to do this. That is the thing. That is the shortest path to where you want to get. Right? And so what happens is, when we listen to our fears are like, so we have this path to making our first million, for example. And our fear, like, it's a very straight path, but our fears are like roadblockers. They make us take detours and they make us go the long way. And you'll get there, but it'll take you literally 5 times as long. So for example, I could have easily scaled to $1 million a year like 2 years ago. I'm 2 years late to my own success, and that's fine. God's timing. But the did I lose my train of thought? Yeah, your fears are the roadblockers. Like, you can easily get to the amount of money you want right now. Not right now, but this year, if we're being realistic. It's the limiting beliefs piece again. And not to make this whole thing woo-woo, but my goal for this video is to really introduce the idea to you that there's always a faster path, and it's typically masqueraded by your fears, because fear is one heck of a thing. My goal for this video is to show you, or at least introduce you to that faster path, and to let you know that you're usually and almost always taking the long way. Even for myself, like, there's always a faster way, and your brain will find what it is looking for. You will find what you are looking for. Your brain does that. If your intention is to make $1 million, if your intention is to make $100,000, your brain will start to morph itself and put itself into gear in order to get you there. The thing is, we have to be very self-aware and train ourselves to be very self-aware. And how in making sure that we're not acting and thinking out of fear. Because in business, you can act in one of two ways: out of fear or out of faith. And faith will take you there a lot faster. It'll be a lot scarier, but it'll take you a lot faster. And when you're operating out of fear, this is when you start to, oh my goodness, it's like you literally have a fear of your own success, right? You have a fear of what your own success feels like, and the experiences that come with that, because success is a journey and a path, and those things along that path are scary, but really it's an invitation to become all that you can be, because great things are happening on the other side. But we fear that. And that's what identity does. Right? Identity and ego and pride, but specifically identity and ego. And the ego is in the business of self-preservation. You're in self-preservation of your ego, you're self-preserving the income you're making, which is good and bad, but bad because you can't advance. This is why it takes people so long, even though they logically understand everything. It's they emotionally reject everything along the way. And I know this because this was me. Now, this video is for a certain kind of person. So if you're looking for tactics and stuff like that, I got hundreds of videos on that, and I got hundreds more on the way. Cool, but this is very important. So in order to scale to 50K, from 50K to 80K a month, for example, 50K to 100K a month, you want to double the business, you have to double your intensity, you have to double your expectations, you have to double your work ethic, you have to double the size at which you are thinking. You got to think twice as big. It's very true. And also, in that same breath, you must consciously avoid what is familiar to you. Right? So you're gonna try these new offers, these 20, 30K offers. You're gonna get rejected. You're gonna get rejected, and nobody's gonna sign up. You might book 1 or 2 calls that month because you just doubled your price, and so now you're filtering everybody out who might have been previously qualified for your other offers. And then in doing that, you'll get nervous, scared, and the anxiety will creep up, and then you'll lower your prices back to the zone that is familiar, and that's where the self-sabotage comes around, because you don't realize that there's a delayed effect in who you are versus the results that show up in your immediate reality and external environment. And you must wait, you must sustain this new identity and outlast this period of, unfamiliar territory and what do we call it, cold waters, uncharted waters, where you have cold feet, and let your success arrive. Just know that it's coming and that it's on its way. If your intention is to make a certain amount of money, you will get there. You will naturally put yourself in positions to receive it, but you have to, like, one of the most fundamental skills you can develop is to understand when you are acting out of fear versus out of faith, when you're thinking in fear versus thinking in faith, and when you're operating in fear versus in faith. And it's very, very obvious. It's very obvious because the fear-based thinking and operating is what is familiar. You know you're pushing things forward when you have this idea or action that you're about to undertake, and the overwhelming sensation is that this can either go really, really good or really, really bad. But that is the mark of a significant action that you're about to undertake. That's the mark of you about to do something that's meaningful, and that you're about to do something that's going to change your life. So I went on a little rant, but that was really, really important. So you must avoid what is familiar, and just know that there's always a faster path, and always be looking for that faster path, or always be challenging yourself to create that faster path. So our goal as founders, and I say this in my meetings often enough, our goal as founders is to collapse time, not only for our clients, but for ourselves and our own company. Is to collapse time and to take our quarterly goal and make it happen in a month, or to take our yearly goal and to make it happen this quarter. That is our goal. And if you can do that over and over and over again, like a founder, or if you can do that over and over and over again, you're an exceptional founder. Now, of course, it's not always going to happen like that, but it's the intention, and the intention either produces the desired result or it makes you a better person in the process. And the last one, the latter, is guaranteed. This is how you become really lethal. This is how you get to a point where you're scaling 3 different businesses, $2 million a year in the same year. Like, it's systematic, but it's also a systematic way of thinking. And you have to know what thoughts to inject in your mind. What am I afraid of? What am I avoiding? Right? Why am I doing this? Like, this level of self-awareness has to go up. And then you start to see the game in slow motion. What am I willing to do and what am I not willing to do? It's what you're not willing to do that is blocking your blessings and your success. So for example, if I could help you make 30K, if I can help you double your business from 30K to 60K a month in the next 60 days, but it's going to require you to put out a 20 grand offer, or it's going to require you to start putting out content. but you're not willing to do either of those things. You think that charging too much, it's too soon, or it's too expensive, or you don't want to put yourself out there. What you're essentially giving up is 30K a month. If you could be making 30K a month in 2 months and you're not doing these things, that's the opportunity cost. Because we do this all the time. I mean, case in point, my own businesses. Case in point, the clients that I work with and the testimonials that they've left. It's quite systematic. Anyway, so that's really important for me to put out there, because I'm working with a lot of business owners now who are past that 30K and 50K a month threshold. So they're now in like this, they got a good rhythm going, and the identity piece never stops. Like 10K a month is an identity, 30K a month is an identity, 50K a month is an identity, 100K a month is an identity, and you can leap past those. You can scale quite quickly if you're willing to look at what's really at the root of all these problems and all these things, and it's the identity. Identity is like, this is how you go about building the identity that you adopt determines the funnel that you pick. So for example, a challenge funnel, a VSL/call funnel, a webinar funnel. Like if you feel like you're a good presenter and a good orator, I don't know how to pronounce it. You're going to pick a webinar funnel, a challenge funnel. If you believe that you're good on the phones, like you're going to pick a VSL call funnel, so on and so forth. It's going to affect how you hire people, how you scale your team, who you hire, in what order. And one of the tricks is to start thinking like that person right now, and that version of you who makes twice as much money of you is the same, like has the same capacity as you, but they choose not to operate or hide behind certain fears. And that's really it. They choose not to let that stuff dictate them and their path and your success. So you should leap, and you should be bold, and you should be ballsy, and that's how you win. That's how you win this year, or for whenever you're watching this video. Anyway, so I'm going to leave it there, but you should listen to this video. If you're a founder, especially if you're doing over 50K a month, you should listen to this video, and you should play back and play back and play back, and know that when things aren't working out for you, or when it seems like nothing is working, that you honestly just have to sustain this new level and start playing at a new level, and stop playing small, and then sustain this and see what happens in 30 days or 60 days. And if you want more specific tactics, you can reach out to me, of course, or you can watch my other videos. I have a lot of mindset videos, but this in particular, when you have less than 10 employees, especially, everything you do, everything about the business comes back to the founder. Everything. It all comes back to the founder. And the reason why you're not growing, like, it all starts and stops with the founder. You can't blame anyone else. Can't blame anybody else, because if they're your employees, you're the one that hired them, and you're the one that set the structure and the policies. Cool. Anyway, I'll leave this there, but making money is quite systematic. It's just like wrestling. It's just like boxing. There's combos you can throw. There's counter punches you can throw. You just have to spend more time fighting, and fight at a higher level if you want to get better. Work with higher coaches, higher trained coaches, and more decorated coaches to get better, and surround yourself with other people who are operating at this level. And if you're not at this level yet, if you're making 10K a month or 20K a month, start surrounding yourself with people who are making 40, 50K, 80K a month, and observe how they think, because there are trends, and success leaves clues. And if you are around 4 millionaires, you will be the fifth. So YouTube is quite different in a lot of ways from a lot of other platforms. Like I've scaled, so my last company, health and wellness coaching, most of the income came from Instagram and TikTok, right? So short form, and I really didn't have much of a YouTube presence, if at all. YouTube is quite different. YouTube, you can make the most amount of money with the least following. It's weird. The thing that people get wrong about YouTube is they think that it's about views, and views helps, but really YouTube is hyper intentional. Like the audience is way more intentional than these short form platforms where they're just caught in this rhythm of scrolling, and almost like scrolling is almost the activity that we do on TikTok or Instagram. With YouTube, it's really about time spent. Hence why I make a video every day. The more time you spend, the more trust you build, and the more trust you build, the more super fans you get. And so I don't really, if at all, but I don't really count views, because I might get 1,000 views on one video, 200 views on the other video, but those 200 people are real fans, and then I might get, or supporters, and I might get another video with 20 views. Those 20 people are super fans, and those are the people who are willing to rock with you for the long haul, and who are likely willing to pay you and invest in you. And if you get them good results, then they get good results, they get a good testimonial, you get a good testimonial, so on and so forth, right? So that is how YouTube works. Now, YouTube is also a long game in the sense that you're going to have, like, I would say if you're willing to put out a video let's just say every 2 days, you should do this for 90 days and then see what happens, right? If you do the math on 66K divided by 2, I don't even know what that is, so I'm shamelessly using a calculator. That is $33. Honestly, I thought it was a lot more than that. But like it's your average subscriber is worth $33. Like that's pretty insane if you were to multiply that, if you were to grow that to 10,000 subscribers. You know what I mean? I think honestly the key here is time spent, putting out a lot of content, time spent, making sure it's really valuable content, and actually trying your best in the content as well. Like I noticed a real difference between videos where I really put in a solid amount of effort, whether it's a document, a simple Google or Notion doc, or a talking head video like this, and then ones where like I feel like I'm in a rush. The ones where you really invest in the person on the other side of the lens, and I just imagine I'm talking to my old self, and that's how I just keep it all the way authentic. The more passion you put into it, the more people sense that, right? And so I like, if you can just operate with the idea that you're using this to build trust, and if you can just focus on building trust and helping people solve their problem, coach them through their problem, you will make a ton of money. Now, this 66K, like this is just from Spectre, right? This is not counting VinceScale, the agency. And I was mentioning this to some of the folks, the agency owners I work with inside Spectre, which is my private program, one of my private programs. I get more applications now for VinceScale for my done for you agency work than I ever did before Spectre or anything like that, because of the stuff that I'm doing on YouTube, right? I don't obsess about YouTube and thumbnails. Like you guys would notice this by now, editing, anything like that. I just focus on being really raw and real. And it's hurt me in the sense that like, yeah, I don't get as many views as the next guy. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't have a copywriter behind these videos, but it's done really well for me in that what you see is what you get. And so if someone's remotely interested and they plan to book a call with me and want my help, the way I show up on YouTube is the exact way I show up in a working or mentorship or coaching environment, right? So it's really, really good at building trust. But if I had to focus on anything, if I had to start this again and redo this whole YouTube journey, I probably would have done it the exact same way. Like my whole intention was to build trust, use this to acquire clients for my agency. In doing so, there started to be overwhelming demand for people wanting to learn how to generate money with AI, and AI deal generation, and AI cold email, and all that fun stuff, and just have fun with it, right? Like don't be so concerned about the views. You can use that as a bit of a guide as to what people want, because you don't want to be selfish in this. You want to give people what they want or frame it in a way that it's enticing for them. But at the same time, like the only thing I'd be focusing on is delivering as much value and being as real and transparent as possible in my YouTube videos. Of course, you don't want to disclose everything about your personal life or your bank account even, but at the same time, you want to, again, just be open and be intentional about the fact that this is to build trust. And if you can just do that, play around with the titles, play around with the content length, play around with the structure of the video, so on and so forth, and you'll start to realize what works, but this is your thing. Yes, there's a very systematic way to grow on YouTube. Yes, I can grow twice as fast if we were to do this again. Yes, we're helping business owners now to go from 50 to 100K a month plus, grow on YouTube very systematically with brand, with YouTube, so on and so forth. But like it doesn't get overly complicated. It actually becomes less complicated the more serious you take it. Because the more serious you take it, you start to realize that this is just about at bats. And every YouTube video you put out is an at bat. And you can take every YouTube video you put out is a swing. And you can take as many swings as you want. Eventually you'll hit a home run. Just don't give up. Cool. Anyway, now I shall end the video there. Nothing to sell you. See you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.